Hey everybody, it's Tony Schiavone of All Elite Wrestling, and this is True Hill Heat, and I said it right, you motherfuckers.
All right, ready when you are.
Hey guys, I may have go away heat, but these guys have true heel heat. So you better listen to the podcast or else I'm gonna kick you in your fucking cock and balls.
I'll get it.
Welcome to True Heel Heat, the place where we use insider terms because we think we know what the fuck we're talking about, even though we don't. My name's Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and I'm better than you, and you know it.
Hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3, and we are back once again here on True Hill Heat Sports and Entertainment, this time reviewing Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four First Steps, as only we can, and back together like we never left. Talking about Superman the last time. Now we're back to talk about the other movie of the summer, especially of the month of July, Fantastic Four First Steps. He is the co-host of True Off Season. You see him talking about football usually, talking a little bit about movies as of late. He is the Stat King. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. This was a movie that I've been looking forward to for a long time. I would say that the Fantastic Four are probably my favorite team in Marvel and some of my favorite characters, and Reed Richards in particular, one of my favorite characters. So definitely was looking forward to this movie.
Nice. I'm excited to talk about it after the last time we talked about Superman here. But if you haven't already, we appreciate y'all for joining us live. Appreciate y'all for watching us on demand. Either way, show your appreciation back. The simplest way possible is by dropping a thumbs up on the video. That helps out the YouTube algorithm also much. You can also share this video with all of your Fantastic Four or Marvel MCU fans, family, and friends on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel or True Hill Heat Sports and Entertainment, you can hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for more content here. We'll be reviewing movies, TV shows, sports, entertainment of all sorts here on the channel. So come join us and talk about it all. And of course, you could sound off in the live chat if you're with us live. If you're watching us on demand, you can comment down below and give us your thoughts of Fantastic Four First Steps. So before we get into this Fantastic Four, kind of give us your history, since this is your favorite team of Fantastic Four. When did you discover it? What did you think about the earlier movies? Let us know.
Yeah, so I watched, as a kid, I had the Fantastic Four comics, and from there, just kind of loved the sort of dysfunctional, functional aspects of the family, the amount of bickering and back and forth that the characters would have. I always found Reed to be a really fascinating character from the perspective of a guy who can get so sucked into his work that he forgets his family. And it's intriguing because the family aspect is really what makes the Fantastic Four so different from everyone else in Marvel. It's, the X-Men have the familial bonds of the adopted family. And there are characters that are related to each other in the X-Men, but to have it be a core nuclear family in Fantastic Four was always a really cool thing to me. And the idea that each one of them really leans on and relies on the other for different things has always been cool to me, because it does mirror what a real family is like different aspects of how parents treat their children, how siblings relate to each other, how somebody in the form of Ben, who isn't blood or marriage related to anybody, that's kind of like that adopted aspect as well. So that always really drew me to it. But then the movies, I thought that the first two Fantastic Fours, I mean, for what they were and the time period that they were coming out and what superhero movies were back then, I always thought that they were really good. Now, I can understand that a character like Doctor Doom, who is one of my favorite villains ever between Marvel and DC, I can understand that people didn't necessarily take too kindly to the interpretation from Julian McMahon. I mean, it's not Julian McMahon's fault per se. It's more the script and the director and the direction that they wanted to go with the character. But the idea of shying away from the Roma gypsy magical background that Doom has and leaning much more into the technology aspect, that Doom in 2005 and 07, those two movies, is more heavily based on the Ultimate Comics version of Doom than he is the 616 version, which hopefully we will see coming soon with Robert Downey Jr. and how far they lean into that, because a lot of people say, okay, well, who's the smartest person in Marvel, right? And you can make an argument that different people have their proficiencies. Hank Pym is one of the best when it comes to the Pym particles and when it comes to subatomic principles and things like that. Bruce Banner, probably the world's foremost expert on gamma radiation and things like that. Tony is the best engineer. He's the best applied physics person that Marvel has. Reed would be the best theoretical physicist and probably the best overall, like the smartest person in Marvel. Now you can basically the idea would be like, if Reed can dream something up, he may not be able to build it, but Tony could build it. He would just be able to talk to Tony and be like, hey, this is my idea for something. And that's not to say that Reed is a bad applied physicist or bad engineer. It's just that's what Tony's forte is. So Dr. Doom is like that perfect amalgamation of science and magic. He is that person who can take something that doesn't seem possible from just the reality bending aspect of it and make it possible. And so the interpretations that they brought, I think Fox wasn't, I think it was a Fox. Yeah, it was a Fox project.
Yeah, it was a Fox Marvel.
Yeah, I think they were just like, I don't know if this is going to work well with audiences. Let's just make him a guy who absorbed metal and can do electric shit. So that didn't really work out. And I think the less we talk about the 2015 Fantastic Four, probably
it's one of the worst superhero movies of all.
So yeah, but what was your introduction to the Fantastic Four?
It was the cartoons for me.
Gotcha.
And then I discovered like the comics, and then of course the 2005 movie I was definitely a fan of for sure. Like at that time, that was like one of my favorites. It wasn't on like the level of like X-Men at that time for me, but as far as like the movies goes, it was right behind there as far as like one of the ones. Well, Spider-Man, of course. Spider-Man is up there as well. So like, yeah, I thought it was good for the time that it came out. I thought it worked. I thought the second one was Silver Surfer. It was disappointing because Silver Surfer is one of my like favorite Marvel characters. So I just felt like this was just kind of making it something it really wasn't. That's why I enjoy this movie a lot more for its interpretation of Silver Surfer.
Sorry, but it is funny to see, because you're saying like for when the time period they came out. Colleen and I, after we saw this Fantastic Four, I think it was the next day, I think I had showed them to her a long time ago, but she didn't remember. So we were rewatching the 2005 one. And, you know, to your point, for the time period that they came out, and just hearing the Lloyd Banks On Fire song, I was like, oh, you could definitely tell that there was like cultural stuff trying to be shoehorned.
Yeah. It was like this is from a different time where Lloyd Banks was suitable. But yeah, that it was very much of its time. Like I think like more of like Spider-Man 2, that's like a timeless one, even though there's a lot of tropes and stuff that make it kind of its time as well. But I think it's a movie that you could see any year and you'll know that it's one of the greatest superhero movies. And that wasn't Fantastic Four. There just wasn't that. It was about introducing it, and I thought the family concept was pushed, but I don't think it was to the level of this movie. So, like, let's get into what was kind of your anticipation going into this movie when you found out that it was coming out, when you found out about the cast. What were you looking forward to with this one?
Yeah, so when they announced that it was going to be more of a 1960s themed movie, it definitely got me interested from the perspective of how is this going to work within the larger framework of the MCU, because we're definitely past the 1960s in where we are now in the MCU. So my first thought was, well, I mean, it's coming out after they've established the multiverse. There's a very good chance this is going to be a different reality. Then the idea that if you have people who are in a different reality, we have to find a way to get them into the mainstream reality. Okay, so I'm like, all right, somewhere in this movie, there's going to be something, or some indication that there's going to be connective tissue to get them into our the mainstream, what is now called 616 reality. For the casting, you are by far more of the Bear watcher than I. So I didn't know much about the actors from The Bear that were picked. However, we had seen Joseph Quinn quite recently as one of the emperors in Gladiator 2, and I thought he had done a really good job there. So that was really my first exposure to that actor. And so from there, I was like, okay, I could see how this person could be Johnny Storm, it could be Human Torch. So I'm like, all right, I'll reserve judgment until I fully see it. Vanessa Kirby is a fantastic actress, so I wasn't that concerned there. But I probably was one of the people who was really on the fence about Pedro Pascal casting. Pedro Pascal doesn't strike me as a Reed Richards, and I think he did a good job as Reed, but I'm wondering if, like, who were the other people that they were interested in, and what happened in, like, the negotiations, or was it scheduling, or really what was the situation that made them really want to go with Reed? Like, what was the audition tapes to the point that they were like, okay, out of everybody we have, that Pedro Pascal is one of our better or best options? Simply because I think that there wasn't really that much that Reed did in the grand scheme of things within the movie. What that part was kind of interesting to me, that it was not to say that it's not supposed to be a team effort, but Reed being kind of the guy who it just didn't feel as though there was a lot necessary for him to do, or that was kind of focused on him. And it was much more of a focus to me on Sue and on Johnny. And Reed was kind of like, I don't want to say a third wheel, but as a vehicle, like, Ben is almost non-existent.
I agree with that. I don't agree with Reed. I thought that Reed was one of the best, like, performances as far as Pedro Pascal in this role, because of not a lot of the stuff like he says in, like, dialogue, or maybe not up to kind of what you wanted as far as, like, his actions. I thought a lot of his reactions, his facial expressions, like, you see Reed going through all the different possibilities and thinking, and that I related to it because I am a parent, and him trying to control everything in this movie was very much like a first-time parent having a kid on the way. And I thought, like, his fatherly instincts were really well done in the film as well. So I think that Pedro Pascal was probably I don't know of many actors who could have kind of gotten the nuances of Reed Richards, because, like, that he's probably my favorite of the characters especially when you read the comic books. Like, he's the most interesting. Yeah. I don't think the previous movies kind of did him justice, or even the cartoon show back in the day that did him justice, like the comic books, as he's like the smartest person in the world. But it's all about, like you said, he's able to kind of come up with these great ideas, and he has so much thoughts. So seeing him from a parent's perspective, going through every single possibility, and the whole scene where Sue calls him out for even thinking about giving the child to Galactus, like that type of stuff. Those are the strongest acting in the
That is my favorite part by far, because that is Reed in a nutshell, right? Like, it's the utilitarian versus the objective, like the objectivist versus the subjectivist philosophical arguments of, like, is like the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and it's like him going, well, I mean, like, we could always have another baby. That was kind of his mentality, and Sue's like, this is the precious creature from God. Like, how could you do this? And he's like, I mean, it seemed kind of straightforward the first time we did, but like, one thing I did like about it though was that they did highlight the aspect of like they have been trying for a child for 2 years. So there was that also where she's like, hey, this is in essence sort of a miracle baby, and you just want to give him up. And Reed's like, 6 billion people, one child. I don't know, it's tough. but one thing I will say is that I wasn't that big of a fan from the perspective of them already being the Fantastic Four for a certain amount of time, only because of it sounds weird to say, but it kind of boils down to one thing. It's that a large scale dynamic of the Fantastic Four, even throughout the comics, even for multiple times, is the idea that Ben Grimm is really upset that he is.
Yeah.
And
this is why I think
try to find ways to fix it. But here they kind of just go, Ben's like, it's all right. Like, I'm over it now. And it's like, that was part of that's like a core aspect of Ben's character, where he's always struggling to see how he fits in and how he can be human, even though his appearance is no longer that.
Yeah, that was one part I think that kind of really, like you said before, it handicapped Ben Grimm, and the thing overall as a character was the fact that not that it started after, like they didn't give us a traditional origin story, because I think we have kind of moved past the origin story kind of era, because like look at who's one of the more like anticipated superhero movies coming up. It's Spider-Man, this new generation of Spider-Man did not give you an origin story. They literally did a 3-film origin story for him actually getting the actual start, with the Uncle Ben murder kind of giving him some motivation with Aunt May in this series. So now we're probably going on a whole different trilogy route with Spider-Man. But I like the fact that we've moved past the origin story era. I think that this movie would have benefited if it's right after they have their change. Like, instead of this news video for the 1-year anniversary or however many year anniversary it was, they should have had, these people just came back, so we can get more of kind of Ben going through the build up to actually eventually be like, that's like the second movie we should see from Ben Grimm. We shouldn't see that in the first film, but I think it's because we have so much time in between their origin and this movie. I think that's why.
Yeah, it was very interesting, because it's like, it's one of those things that they kind of breeze through all of these villains that they've already faced and things like that. And to be fair, I'm a Fantastic Four fan, but a lot of their villains are not the greatest. The majority of their villains that are
villains of the week.
Yeah, it's like the majority of their villains that are great are those large existential / reality / universe ending threats, like the Annihilises, the Galactuses, like those kind of villains, where that's actually interesting because it's beyond you're forcing them to have to work as a group. And when you test the group dynamics, that's when the Fantastic Four shine as characters. Whereas like Mole Man or the Wizard or Red Ghost, it's like, yeah, but like one of you could beat this person realistically. Like, it's not, you don't need all 4 of you. It's kind of overkill, but it's like, all right, what are we doing for lunch? Like, are we getting Jersey Mike's? Like, what's the plan after this kind of thing? So I did like the idea of showing us them working as a team. However, yes, to your point, like if they had started us sort of like an in media res kind of thing, where it was like they've just finished beating Mole Man for the first time, and it's that from that point onwards, I think it would have been a lot better, as opposed to just like, hey, everybody loves you. like 4 years have passed, everybody loves you, and it's like, all right, cool. And I did like the fact that they, in this reality, in Earth 828, they're the only heroes. I did that was cool, because it then, when you have to do the, hey, we all got to work together to build these things to try to stop Galactus, it kind of makes more sense why world governments were like, well, I mean, if the Fantastic Four is saying we should do it, we probably should do it. Because
like they saved us a few times here, so why not?
Otherwise, it makes no sense. Otherwise, like they're like, we're gonna do global blackouts planned so that we can conserve energy, so we can build. Like nobody's gonna go along with that. But if you're the only heroes who have also saved everybody multiple times, it's like, all right, there's a little bit more leeway.
Yeah, it's a little bit more understandable. So that is kind of, I guess, one reason why they started where they started. So yeah, I found that kind of the interesting route, because this is the first kind of Fantastic Four movie that has had Galactus really in the primary villain role. It's usually always Doctor Doom, it seems, with all the major kind of Fantastic Four movies, whether it be the ones from the 2000s or the aforementioned 2015 debacle. So I like the fact that we got something very unique for this movie, and really, to a lot of people, Galactus is the big bad of the Fantastic Four comics.
Yeah, and what? Okay, as much as I don't like that 2015 Fantastic Four, I do give it credit in one regard. If you're going to make changes to source material, I'm usually the kind of person that I'm like, there's a good reason why these characters are written this way or why this was created this way. Like, for example, if we're going to change certain aspects about Bruce Wayne that takes him away from being a waspy guy, like that kind of is a little weird to me, because I'm like, part of what makes Bruce Wayne is the fact that he's a filthy rich white man. Like that's an aspect of it that's somewhat important to him. Here in that movie, they were like, we want to try to make it fresh and new. How do we do it without like changing too much of it? And they were like, what if we made Sue and Johnny not blood related but adopted, and we do that he's black and she's white? It's like that was actually a cool thing that they did. So that's like one slight like praise I'll give that movie, but the rest of it was pretty bad.
It was dirt. It was horrible. Reed wasn't really good as the Reed character. Michael B. Jordan is one of the greatest villains in Marvel history with Killmonger, but he made a horrible Johnny Storm. Homegirl that was Sue Storm, that's probably the best one that I can give a compliment to. And the actor who played Ben Grimm got the self-deprecating of it all and kind of feeling depressed about where he was at. But that Thing model was just horrible. So. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this I think another thing that this movie did really well was the kind of global aspect of it, and I alluded to that with the world leaders getting behind them. But because of that, they were able to show Doctor Doom without showing Doctor Doom.
Yeah,
that was
the empty seat for
that area. And then if you also notice the map, when they were showing where they were building all the sites, there was one I think it was like in Latveria or like right next to Latveria. So I'm wondering if that will play a part in how Doctor Doom gets to the 616 reality, because the idea behind that was they could push Galactus into a black hole. Well, if you could push him into a black hole, what if you could push somebody or something into a different reality? So I'm interested to see if that's possibly how they get this group into 616.
Yeah, I'm interested with how this movie ended as well, but we're gonna get into that. We should mention the movie. So you do have Dion actually in the chat who says, "I thought their origin sequence was done better than the Superman Wall of Text." What did you like better? I kind of liked the Superman, the 333 kind of theme to it.
Yeah, I prefer the Superman Wall of Text simply because, like, similarly to how we all know the Superman origin story and like kind of all that, we don't need it. It got everything done in a quick, timely manner and got us right into the action. With the origin sequence here, I think it worked for what they needed to do, because people as a general audience are less familiar with Fantastic Four than they are with Superman, who's had multiple movies, like it's probably the most famous superhero ever, outside of, like, you could make an argument that Batman is either 2 or, like, if depending on where you want to go, recently because of the number of Batman movies, but for a very long time, if not still, it has been Superman. So the idea of needing the origin story for Superman, probably a little bit less. The sequence here and showing them do the villains, I think it worked better than the Superman, better than the Superman. Oh, sorry, it worked for what they needed because we weren't going to see those villains. If we were going to see them fight those villains, then it wouldn't have made sense. But because they knew we weren't, they were like, okay, let's put something in here for whoever, Joe Schmo on comicbookmovie.com who's going to complain that the Fantastic Four didn't fight Red Ghost or something like that. Or where's the Wizard? Like, there you go. There, we got that person. Can we move to Galactus?
They didn't even show the Wizard. They showed his monkeys. It was ridiculous. I just didn't like it. I felt like we were getting robbed. I was like, when we saw that sequence with their origin and them fighting all the villains, I was like, this could have been like the first 30 minutes of your, like, this was like a wrestling matchup that did like 10 minutes of stuff in like 2 minutes. You could have stretched this out, and this could have been like the first quarter of your movie before they get into the real villain.
That's a classic, like 2016 to 2019. Vince turns to the women and goes, "Hey, we got to cut 5 minutes from your match. Like, get the rest of it in. Get the rest of it in. Like, get it in and move on." But yeah, because actually, what would have made it a lot more interesting also is, to your point, if they had made that a longer sequence and had Silver Surfer lurking in the background, just like going, huh. There seems to be enough resources and energy here that Galactus would be a little bit like, for him going to Jersey Mike's, like he'll have it's a giant sub sandwich for him. He'll be good. He'll be good for a few weeks if I get this to him. Like, that'll work. Like, because I remember when I watched TDK for the first time, like, the only thing that I wanted was somebody in the shadows watching what was going on, because I knew that if there was a third movie, somehow Nolan's going to have to link it back to the League of Shadows, simply because you can't get rid of this League of Shadows and Ra's al Ghul and not find a way to bring some aspect of it in. So if you have just people watching in the background, it just opens the doors for more things. But that's also why in most comic book movies, I don't like it when villains get killed, because I'm like, you just lost any possibility of something down the road.
Yeah, I feel like that the biggest victim of that is the aforementioned Killmonger. Like, you killed any chance of people being interested in part 2. If he stays alive, if he's just a prisoner in Wakanda, like that was what he said he was gonna do to T'Challa. If they would have done that, he could have been the villain, or actually team up with Shuri in part 2.
Yeah, and I remember when I was watching Wakanda Forever, and Shuri's getting ready to take the synthetic heart-shaped herb. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, so she's got to see somebody. Who's it going to be? It wouldn't make sense if it was, like, it could make sense if it was T'Chaka, because T'Chaka is able to talk to her just about being a ruler and then also the familial bond. But then I'm looking to myself, I'm like, who would make most sense? Like, it should be Killmonger was the thought process. And I remember in the theater, a lot of people like going like that kind of gasp that, oh shit, it's Killmonger. I was like, but this kind of makes sense. But unfortunately, to the point, when you kill him, that you lose that ability. However, I'm not going to take anything away from Ryan Coogler writing that great line about just bury me in the ocean with the answer. Like, I'm not,
great death scene for him. Don't get me wrong. Better death scene than Thanos got. So, like, yeah.
Yeah, he just sat down and went the way of most, like, overarching villains. He just disintegrated.
Yeah, I tend to forget that one. I just think about Thor taking his head off. More than he had 2 deaths in the same movie. So yeah, we're in, like you said before, we're in an alternate reality with this film, the Earth 828 in 1964, and the world was celebrating the 4th anniversary of the Fantastic Four. They talking about their exposure to cosmic rays, which gave them powers. The team have become celebrities and fought supervillains, while Reed's inventions have progressed technology. So this is like a futuristic 1964 as well. Sue's diplomacy via the Future Foundation has led to demilitarization as well as peace for much of the world. When Reed and Sue reveal that they are expecting a child, the world prepares for the new arrival and questions whether the child will also have superpowers, which really is like the first half of the movie is just Reed going through all his checklists and being a panic father and wanting to know if their son is going to have superpowers. What did you think about that being like the overall first half of the movie?
Yeah, like that was I think well done in the sense of you got to really get a lot of that family stuff, because I think they understood, especially recently, Marvel has kind of given a I don't know if ruling is it's to call it, or guideline or standard, where they want movies now to come in at 2 hours or like maybe slightly less or slightly above. They're shying away from the 2.5 hour kind of large scale movies, which makes sense because for anyone who doesn't know, when you're doing screenwriting, 1 page of a script is supposed to equal 1 minute. So if you can cut a script down by 30 pages, in essence, you're saving a lot of time, you're saving a lot of money, and you're able to make things. It's easier to make things under budget, which is now, unfortunately for Marvel, a concern because their budgets have ballooned. They have large scale production costs, and also unless you're going to keep being, in essence, like, to use an NFL analogy, the Howie Roseman or the Ozzie Newsome of the Eagles and the Ravens respectively, like, unless you can find really good talent in the later rounds of the draft, you're now hiring expensive actors and actresses. Like, I can only imagine that Pedro Pascal's salary for this movie was pretty high. Vanessa Kirby as well, fairly high. Like, you can make an argument that Joseph Quinn and Ross, like, they're not making as much, but the reason why they're lesser known is because it's being anchored by Pedro and by Vanessa. We can only imagine what the salary costs, what they've budgeted for Doomsday and for Secret Wars. Like, that's insane. That movie's gonna have to make a lot of money, but that's where you go for that 2 hour and 40-minute runtime. Like, you try to get as much as you can. So I think that they did a good job here of focusing on the family, because they knew this is going to be a shorter movie, and once we get into the action, it's going to just go, and we're not going to have as much time to focus on the family aspects. And it's a normal thing in writing or in wrestling and booking. You have to make people care about the characters first. Then you can do more with them and expand beyond it. But it's like, if I don't care that Darby Allin, him coffin dropping 8 times off of scaffolding means nothing to me. Like, it's just like, okay, cool. Did he die? No. All right, then we can move onwards. Like, it's just like, that's more what you care about versus, oh shit, Darby may not win this match.
Yeah, that's very true. Very good point there. And like, yeah, I thought that the kind of, like you said, the family aspect of everything kind of gave us a foundation to kind of get invested. I think really early on, there was the scene with Joseph Quinn, Johnny Storm, and Reed Richards, where they basically are listening to the track that we're going to get into the next character about, with the language, and him just wanting to be the person to kind of like figure it out was immediate, like early on in the movie, where they're showing you this Johnny Storm is different from the Johnny Storms of the past. Like, Chris Evans was more of the cocky, kind of oblivious, not very self-aware hotshot. And in Michael B. Jordan's version, he was smarter, but he was very brooding and not as happy-go-lucky as Johnny Storm should be. So I felt like Joseph Quinn got the balance right that Chris Evans and Michael B. Jordan didn't get before him.
Yeah, I did like that about him, because it, if you're, because like, you can think about it from any form of sibling relationship or family relationship, right? Like, if your sister is solving diplomatic problems for the world, and your brother-in-law is the world's smartest man who can invent things just by taking a nap, in essence, you are going to feel some level of either imposter syndrome, or you're going to feel levels of inadequacy. Like you're going to think that you're not good enough. And I think that's also part of why he wanted to go back to space, because in space was where, in essence, they all were equal and they all got hit by the same cosmic rays. And now he's getting the opportunity to flex, those muscles, those mental muscles, to try to figure out what's going on with this recording. And in a sense, for him, it's like, hey, it doesn't feel like a demotion, but I'm able to pick up the slack where they aren't because they're busy. I'm able to contribute to the team beyond just shooting fire out of my hands. Like, so that also was a really cool thing for him. And for Ben, it was just like, you're strong. You can lift a car. Kids like you. It's cool. And he meets I forget her name. I think it was like Rachel Rosman, but it was Natasha Lyonne, the actress. And that was that. I think that was like one of my clues that either one, they're never coming back to 828, or there's going to be a very interesting soft, hardish reboot after Secret Wars. Because I'm like,
yeah,
you're not going to sit here and tell me that you're not going to have Alicia Masters get involved in this. And I'm like, maybe it's too early for that. Maybe it's a situation where it's like, he does enter into a romantic relationship with Rachel Rosman, and then she passes away or something like that happens. Like maybe, and that's when they introduce Alicia. But I'm like, I like Natasha Lyonne as an actress, but I'm not that invested in the character, because I'm like, as soon as you say your name and I don't hear Alicia Masters, I'm like, I don't need to care about you. Like I'm done. But it was a good arc for Ben, because this was the first movie, if I remember right, that really highlighted the fact that Ben Grimm's Jewish.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. They're at least doing that. And especially in the political climate that we're in, with everything that's going on in the Middle East. From what I understand, I think I heard they changed some aspects of her character where they were going to have her be a full-fledged rabbi. And they're like, oh, well, that, maybe we should not have her be a rabbi. Like, she can be a Jewish teacher, yes, but a full rabbi, let's maybe not go that route. Because, you would have to wonder if and we'll get there, but when everybody's going into the subterranean tunnels, why is she staying in a synagogue with people? Wouldn't they also not go into the tunnels?
Yeah.
But if you think about it, oh, maybe this character was a rabbi, but they edited that out. It's like, oh, now that makes more sense. That makes it adds a little bit more to it.
I get that. So months after the pregnancy of Sue, we get the Silver Surfer comes to Earth and declares that it has been marked for destruction by Galactus, a planet-devouring cosmic being. Reed studies the disappearance of other planets and verifies this claim, and the team decides to return to space to stop Galactus from coming to Earth. They track the Silver Surfer's energy signature, and using faster than light travel, they arrive to a new planet just as it is being destroyed by Galactus's ship. The team is captured and brought to Galactus, who reveals that he has a insatiable hunger that has been driving him to consume planets for eons, and Galactus senses that Reed and Sue's unborn child has immense cosmic power and could take on his hunger, freeing himself from this hunger that he has. He offers to spare Earth in exchange for the child and induces Sue to go into labor on the ship. The team refuses the offer and escapes from the ship, and then using the gravity from the neutron star, which destroys their FTL system, the team delays the chasing of Silver Surfer and promptly takes himself back to Earth, and Sue gives birth to a boy named Franklin on the way there. So that's really kind of the igniting point of the movie, is Silver Surfer coming in. I would say by far, because we only have one other movie to really compare it to, best Silver Surfer ever. It's either this or the 2007 one. That 2007 one was not good.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I liked the aspects of that. I like that they kept a lot of what made Shalabal, which is very similar to the Norin Rand story. What I will say is that I think that they could have done just like a little bit more before we find out what the recordings are and all that kind of thing, like that, like a little bit more of setup and just the way that she was communicating with them. However, her being an asshole to Johnny Storm was great, where she's just like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, and it was great because like it really did come across as though she doesn't want to, like in the moment, it comes across as though she doesn't want to talk to this person because they're gonna die. She's like, why do I need to care about you? Because you're gonna die. Like, what do we need to talk about? And then later you realize, oh, it's because she doesn't want to form. Like, she understands the gravity of what she's doing, not necessarily in the context of the real context of what you are doing, but like she gets that it's a serious business. So I'm like, we just need to be here and talk about business. Let's not get into anything else. But it's tough to say, but this is that sequence where Sue gives birth. Probably a top 5 Marvel sequence, I think, ever. Like because it's so easy to say some of the battle scenes are going to be better than it, and I get that. But like from what Marvel is supposed to be, which is human characters acting in superhuman ways, it's incredible. It's fantastic. Like, quite literally, it is fantastic what they pulled off in that sequence. And I think they did a really good job of just everybody, the level of panic that everybody is going through in that moment, with the exception of Silver Surfer. The panic that everyone's going through.
Just trying to get the baby. Let me just get this baby. I gotta go.
Like, that was great. And the other aspect that I loved about it was that it definitely reinforced the science, which is really the core thing of what Fantastic Four is about. It's that these people are just brilliant scientists who can do incredible things with their minds and what they can come up with. And the idea that Reed is just like, yeah, we could slingshot. We could use a slingshot on this neutron star. We've never tried it before, but we could pull this off. And then once Ben hears the plan, Ben's like, yeah, we could probably, like, that level of trust that they have, like that aspect. That's what I meant earlier, where I was saying that when they're put into stressful situations, the characters shine. It's like that innate trust and belief that Reed's going to be able to figure this out. Whatever Reed's idea is, Ben will be able to pull it off. Sue will be able to keep everybody calm, despite the fact that she's giving birth to a child. And Johnny's going to be there to make sure that anything that anybody else is missing, or there's any slack to be pulled, he's there to grab it. Like, that was a great sequence to really show like what makes the Fantastic Four the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, he went on the shooting range, basically taking down anybody coming behind them. On their return to Earth a month later, Reed reveals the details of their encounter during a press conference. The decision to save one child over the billions of other people on Earth leads to public outcry and scrutiny, with many calling for Franklin to be sacrificed to Galactus. Johnny begins to decipher the Silver Surfer's native language using his interactions with her and some deep space transmission. Reed intercepts from her planet. They also have transmissions from planets that Galactus destroyed. As Galactus draws near and protest against the Fantastic Four's escalate. As you get, Sue takes Franklin to meet with protesters, and she has this like big dramatic speech where she explains that they will not sacrifice their child, but they will also not give up on the rest of humanity. Using a teleportation system that he has been working on, Reed devises a plan to build large teleporting bridges across Earth so they can transport the entire planet to another solar system where Galactus cannot reach them. Through the Future Foundation, Sue organizes the world's nations to build the bridges and conserve the energy needed to use them. So you brought this up earlier. This is just Fantastic Four kind of using their reach and their exposure to their advantage here and bringing the world together to build the transportation system. I thought that this was done better than even the introduction scenes. This is something that's large scale and it's across different planets, but they were able to kind of tie this up and kind of give you the explanation of everything in like 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, it is funny for two. It is this segment is funny to me for two reasons. One, all of this is avoided if Reed shuts the fuck up. Like, Reed doesn't have to say they wanted our kid. Like, they're like, what was the price? And he could have just been like, I mean, it was really high. Like, you don't need to know exactly what it is. Details. Like
he's got to be honest. That's why he's a good leader. He's honest to the people.
It's perfectly in character for Reed to just be like, they wanted the baby. but you know what it reminded, like, in my mind, like, what I thought was, this is the Dave Chappelle as George Bush skit where he's like, oil. The fuck what, oil? And he just like throws things in the runs. Like, that's what you were supposed to do, Reed. You're not supposed to be like, oh, they wanted the baby. Like, because like every single world government would just be like, look, listen, guys, we get it. You saved us a lot of times over the past 4 years. However, to quote our good friend Romeo, fuck them kids. And Kelvin and Jerome would be like, fuck them kids. Like, you know, we're taking that kid. like what was...
I understood. You don't give up your kid. I was with Stu. I was like, you go, girl. I agree.
But then the other aspect of it is it's funny because, like, the amount of math and physics that's required to, in essence, teleport the entire planet from one spot to another spot and everything work out perfectly is so ridiculous that they actually, like, a couple of years ago, I think it was a animated show or it might have been a comic, but I mean, it's either one of those two, but Superman says something along the same lines to Batman. He's like, what if we just push the Earth out of the way? He's like, I could do it. Like, it's not going to be that difficult. I could do it. And Batman just goes, if I had a week, I couldn't begin to tell you all the reasons why that's a terrible idea. he just says that to Superman, and Superman's like, oh, okay, so we shouldn't do that. And Batman's like, no, we're not going to do that.
We're not going to do that. Oh,
yeah. So, like, a part of me was like, Reed, I mean, I get it, you're smart and all that, but, like, this seems a little ambitious. Like, we're just going to teleport the entire planet and hope everything works out. But he's like, hey, it'll keep him away from us for thousands of years. And a part of me was like, but guys, at least, like, when I'm saying this to the writing room. I'm like, don't you remember that you have this great thing in the comics, the ultimate nullifier that Reed was able to come up with that could defeat Galactus? But also it's like, oh, we got to find a way to make sure Galactus could reach this baby. But
yeah. Yeah, they also didn't want to, like, get rid of Galactus completely either. So
yeah,
it was like, we got to say something for the next movie. So as the bridges are being activated, the Silver Surfer returns and begins destroying them. Johnny stops her from destroying the last bridge in Times Square and reveals what he learned from the transmissions. Her name is Shalaba, and she became Galactus's herald to spare her world Zinla. And hearing transmissions from planets she helped destroy, Shalaba expresses remorse, but refuses to help and flees. Using Franklin as bait, the team plans to lure Galactus to the last bridge and teleport him away. Sue negotiates with Harvey Elder, aka Mole Man, to evacuate New York City civilians to the subterranean, his underground city, while Galactus makes his way through the city and captures Reed, avoiding the traps that they lay along the way. Sue uses all of her power to push him towards the portal with a force field, while Reed rescues Franklin. Johnny attempts to sacrifice himself to give Galactus a final push into the portal, but is stopped by Shalaba. Shalaba is the one that pushes Galactus into into the portal herself and closes behind the both of them. Sue dies from her efforts, but is revived by Franklin, who has some type of powers, as we're gonna see. And Sue is back to life. We then get the team later goes on a new mission as the world celebrates their 5th anniversary. And then the mid-credit scene, which is kind of the big one that's been talked about since this movie, we see Sue is reading to Franklin at home and goes to get him a different book. When she returns, she sees him interacting with a man with a green cloak holding a metal mask, which of course is Dr. Doom. So what did you think about the final scene, the final fight scene, which is always kind of looked at as like the big judge for a lot of people when it comes to the Marvel movies? I thought this one it had the stakes. It really probably is probably like my peak point as far as like I said, I thought the Sue basically approaching Reed about thinking about giving the baby up to Galactus is probably the best acted scene. But I think like the peak as far as like excitement and my interest in the movie is definitely the final fight as Sue uses all her powers and shows she's actually the strongest of the Fantastic Four, which is peak good girl power from Marvel Studios, which has been known for that over the last couple of years. But I enjoyed it because I thought that Vanessa Kirby was able to perform it very well. She came off like a mother that was desperate, and like I've heard mothers who went to see this movie be like, yeah, I'd do the same thing. I would lift a car to help you, my son.
I mean, we've had stories of women that have done that. So like it was from that perspective, it was definitely believable. The idea that she would be willing to and did make the sacrifice to save her kid, like that is that's really cool. And yes, Dion, the tell Franklin Uncle Johnny loves him. That was really cool. I think it was really well done in the sense of they were smart about how the Fantastic Four would think in the scene in this sequence of, yes, we are going to get people out of New York, and that's always been a thing in comic book movies, particularly after Man of Steel, where it's like, okay, we're going to cause widespread destruction for the purposes of the people in the audience watching this movie. But what about all these fake people in this movie? They are going to die. So what can we do to stop that? And it's like, all right, well, Man of Steel was just like, Zack Snyder was like, kill them all.
Look, these people, it's all about the aura.
Yeah, he was like, kill them all. And then after that, after the backlash, a lot of these movies really worked towards being like, okay, we can do the destruction, we can show people fleeing, but let's try to tone down how many people are collateral damage in these scenes. So that aspect of it I thought was really well done. And then the idea that Galactus, in essence, humbles himself, like in a way, to go after this kid was really great. And I like the scene where he's walking and he just like turns and looks, and we have the Statue of Liberty there in the foreground, just to show that even though he has made himself small, he is still rather tall. And it was just really cool. I liked that part of it. And then again, the Herbie being like, "Hey, buddy, you're not supposed to be here," and it's just like his eyes in the windows. That I thought was really well done. But the only and I think this goes back to what I was saying about Reed, and this is less of a Pedro Pascal thing and more of just the general writing aspect, is that we don't get to see Reed do cool shit, like from the perspective of his powers. Like he's just like, I can stretch. Okay, cool. And that I think is one thing that the 05 and 07 movies did well, was showing, hey, this guy really, like the stretch aspect or the elongation and what he can turn into and what he can do. It's very varied. And here it just was a little bit less of that. And even for Ben, his real contribution, his biggest contribution is like, I'm gonna run through pillars so that we can knock the building into him. It just kind of felt as though a lot of the focus was on Sue, which, to your point, was important because she's basically the driving factor as to how, like, why we're not going to give this child up and why we're going to be fighting to do this. So there is that like impetus to put more of the burden on her. But I would have liked to see a little bit more of that team up aspect outside of, Johnny with Ben. He's like, say the line, Say the line. I'm not gonna say the line. And then him finally doing the it's clobbering time. That was great. But I think overall, as a final battle sequence or as a final battle thing, it was very well done. It was also good enough to show how the Fantastic Four as a team can work to take somebody out that is that large scale. I think they could have done like it a little bit more of the team up aspect, but overall very well done. And it does position them as a fighting unit for the larger Marvel universe of it's like, oh yeah, no, you could see a world where these people are in 616 and have to take out a Marvel villain that we already know, and it's believable because it's like these people can work really well together. So that was well done. But I don't know if you want me to get like directly into the post credits yet or not.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that. I do like I said, I thought that as far as like my interest and excitement in the movie, it was at its peak during the final segment. I can understand why, there's some people that are upset that saying like, you can't make Galactus this beatable this early on, but I think that this was more preventive than actually beating Galactus more than anything, and I think it really put over kind of Sue's powers. I understand you got Power Driver Finisher in the chat who says that that he doesn't like people who are praising Sue Storm. He says one thing that pissed me off was Sue Storm. Why the fuck would you go to outer space while pregnant? I mean, she was needed. It's the Fantastic Four, not the Fantastic Three.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, that's pure plot. Like the only reason why she's there is so that Galactus can see the fact that she's pregnant. Like, what's he gonna do? Be like, I smell pregnancy pheromones off of Reed. Do you have a pregnant wife? Does that child will that child have cosmic powers? Oh, let's find out. Like, she has to be there. So like the way that was kind of like a more of a sacrificial aspect of the plot and less of like a smart character doing a dumb thing. Like that's basically what it is. Like the idea that in writing and in plotting, like oftentimes what may be common sense to someone else is not necessarily a character acting out of character. It's a character making a choice, and why that character makes a choice. Well, we should know that because of the character motivations that we've been shown and told throughout the movie. And here you can tell that she's like, well, to your point, it's not the Fantastic Three, it's the Fantastic Four. The team is going, I must go. Because then the next question would be, oh, so is Sue just not going to fight anybody for the 9 months that she's going to be pregnant? Like if Red Ghost pops back up, she's going to be like, hey guys, can you go deal with this? No, she's going to do something. Like she's going to get involved.
And even if she was left alone, that might happen, and she still would have to be alone. It would be Fantastic One.
Fantastic.
We got Dion who says, wish they had some combination moves. It was mainly just Sue and Silver Surfer stopping Galactus in a girl power moment. I will say, I agree with that nitpick of the final scene that they could have done more for Ben and Reed to kind of assist in the whole, because Reed's job is really to save Franklin, and that's where you kind of see his abilities a little bit more in like swooping around and using everybody, but it's more of a team effort in regards to just getting Franklin more than it is to stopping Galactus. And I think that kind of undermines Galactus, and the fact that it's really just Sue and Silver Surfer, it does make it come off like, oh god, this one of those final scenes from Endgame where all the B-level female superhero teams up, which I know is a big moment for some female comic book fans out there, but it's also one of those, this is Disney trying to manipulate me into having a girl power moment.
What was Pepper Potts going to do? Like, come on. What was she going to do? That was literally her first time in the rescue suit. She didn't want to wear it.
Yeah.
That was the point. But she didn't want to wear it. It's like, your mom doesn't wear anything I make her. It's like, well, now all of a sudden she's going to, not only is she going to show up, they're going to do like this big reveal with like the face mask. I'm like, who else is in the suit? It's got to be Gwyneth Paltrow. What are you doing?
Hey, like, she was a hero in Iron Man 3,
Oh, stop it. I know you like Iron Man, all right? Stop it.
I'm a huge Iron Man fan. I think Iron Man is moved up to the status of top 3, top 4 superheroes of all time.
I know the movie came out, God, almost 10 years ago now. But one day you and I should do a formal debate. Who was right, Cap or Tony, in signing the Sokovia Accord?
It's next year because it came out in 2016.
Yeah, that's
so
what it's almost
year.
said.
Yeah, next year is 10 years. So yeah, we should do it for the 10-year anniversary of Civil War. Is the great debate. Who was right? It was Tony, of course. Tony learned from his mistakes, and he knew what the right way to go. If we would have had Cap look at it from his perspective, none of this would have happened. We don't need to find out that his best friend is the reason why his parents are dead. We don't need to know.
Yeah. We'll save it for the debate.
But yes, we're gonna save that one. So yeah, let's talk about the post-credit scene. Were you surprised with this post-credit scene and the reveal of kind of Doom at the end? Did you kind of expect it? Did you expect it to go down the way it did? I think that we all kind of, if you have been keeping up to date with Fantastic Four, if you saw the post-credit scene for Thunderbolt, you kind of had a feeling that this would be the post-credit scene, right?
Yeah, this is a situation where I don't fully want to call it like hotshot booking, but like they are in a position where they have to really, like, they're pivoting hard out of the Kang storyline, and you have to get Doom over, one, as a villain, but two, just in general. You have to show who he is and show more about him, and there's no movie between now and Doomsday, so you kind of have to do that. Like there's really no option. On top of that, you did do the foreshadowing with the Latveria empty chair, Latveria on the map. Like you did do that, so the idea that he would show up does make sense. But one thing I did like about it was that they didn't show his face. There were some people that were like, "Oh, why didn't they show his face?" Like, because that's part of the reveal. Like, we all know the scene. It's going to be Spider-Man going, "Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Mr. Fury, Mr. Fury, who is this guy? Who is this guy?" And then all of a sudden the mask's going to come off and he's going to be like, "Mr. Stark? Mr. Stark? Oh my God. Oh my God. Mr. Stark, is that you? Tony. And he's going to run over to try to give him a hug. And then Doom's just going to backhand the shit out of him and be like, "I don't know who that is. I don't know who Tony Stark is, but also fuck you." And then he's just going to go back to like killing people. Like that's, we all know that's, and the other aspect of it is that in the comics, Doom has the scarred face, and they probably are not 100% sure whether they're going to do the scarred face or not. And so if you show the face and it's scarred, or you show the face and it's not scarred, then you're locked in to that appearance. Whereas now, if they are filming right now and he's not scarred, and they go, we should throw the scar in there, they can add that in digitally. And if they have scarred and they say, let's not do it, they can remove it digitally. They at least have the option of doing like either one of them. Whereas if you show it, then like, why would you waste the reveal for the post-credit scene?
Yeah.
Before, like, so from that perspective, it was like, I'm perfectly fine with not seeing his face, but they definitely had to have him be involved, and having him be involved with Franklin is really cool, because if you follow the comics and you know what Franklin's power set is, then the idea that Doom would want this child makes complete sense. Because Scarlet Witch's powers, from a comic book standpoint and what they have shown in the movies and the TV show, really is that ability to warp reality. While she is doing it through magic, Franklin just does it because he thinks it. Like, he just goes, it'd be cool? A bounce house filled with ice cream bars. And then a bounce house filled with ice cream bars appears for no reason. That's just how strong this guy is. Like, he creates pocket universes. He creates multiple realities just by thinking it. And what are we leading into? Some kind of reality altering. We're going to solve this whole incursion problem, this multiverse thing. Why would Doom need a child? If Doom's going to be the villain and he takes that child and he's using that child's powers and he's in essence abusing the child, well, hey, that's a great reason, obviously outside of the fact that it's their kid and it was kidnapped, for the Fantastic Four to get involved. On top of that, it explains how at the end of Doomsday he's going to win, because he's going to win. There was like when Infinity War came out, I walked into that movie knowing Thanos was going to win.
Same. I knew it, and I knew, but I also knew that not everybody that I'm going to this movie theater with knew it. So it felt like I was like a wrestling fan, and I knew the heel was going to win, and I got enjoyment out of being the only one who was rooting for the heel. That's how I felt going to that rush of feeling of, I love this heel, I love what they do, despite all the horrible things they're doing, and I'm rooting for the heel to win. So when the heel wins, I'm having the biggest pop that I've ever had at a movie theater, and that's why Infinity War is the greatest movie, the greatest superhero movie of all time.
So like it was just a situation where like even if you didn't anticipate the fact that Thanos has to win so that they can win in the next movie.
Yeah,
Marvel told you he was going to win, because when the movies were originally announced, it was Infinity War Part 1 and Infinity War Part 2. You can't have a Part 2 unless the villain wins at the end of Part 1. And then they were like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to change the name, and it's just going to be Infinity War, but we're not going to tell you the name of the next movie. I was like, okay, they're not getting rid of Thanos in one movie. It's just impossible. So he has to win. So again, we know that there's Doomsday and there's Secret Wars. He has to win. So how is he going to win? It's going to involve Franklin and his ability to warp reality. And on top of this, we know the comics that they're kind of pulling from the second Secret Wars event, Secret Wars 2, which involves Doom rewriting reality and combining everything into one planet called Battle World. And then you get this Secret Wars movie. So that part of it was really cool. And I think the other thing about it is that for anybody who doesn't know, because I just kind of covered from if you do know Franklin's powers. For anyone who doesn't know Franklin's powers, immediately you go, okay, so I saw this kid basically be Jesus and bring his mom back to the dead like Jesus did Lazarus. Okay, he can do some shit. Doom wants him. I don't even need to know everything he can do. He's got to be powerful enough that it's something bad if he's in the hands of Doom. Now I can't wait for December of 2026 when Doomsday comes out.
Yeah, it's a great way to kind of get that interest, and especially because you have to wait 18 months for that movie. So it's a great way to kind of just tease it enough and get people interested. So there's no Marvel movies in between now and then, or is there something that's away from it? I think Spider-Man comes out.
I think Spider-Man's in between.
Yeah, it comes out before Doomsday.
No, I think Spider-Man comes out in between Doomsday and what's it called? Secret Wars.
Oh, okay.
Let me take a look real quick. Oh no, you are correct. Spider-Man Brand New Day, July 31st, 2026. So we will have one final movie. But I don't think they'll do the Doctor Doom. Hopefully.
No. I think it's another. You do another.
Yeah, it'll be post credits. So it should be a post credits thing. Yeah, it'll. You know what it'll be? It'll be some post credits thing where either the New Avengers or Captain America's Avengers that he recruited off screen meet up with the Fantastic Four, and they're like, "Who are you guys?" And that'll probably be what that post credits thing is.
Or he meets up with the Fantastic Four when their ship lands in New York. It's like, what you guys doing here? But yeah, that is the Fantastic Four. Overall, kind of final words, final thoughts on the movie. Where do you stand as far as like the original movies and all the different actresses, and actors that played the role? I would say as far as like the four main characters, I think, you know, there are parts that was kind of like weak as far as like not showing his powers on the field in action as well. But I think Pedro Pascal, acting wise, has been the best Reed Richards I've seen in cinema. I think that that was the biggest one as far as like the script and the story just didn't give him enough to do, whether it's Ben Grimm, whether it's the Thing. I don't think they kind of maximize what they can do with it, and hopefully they can do better in the next movie. I thought acting wise, Eben Ross yeah, Evan Ross, I think he did a great job with like the little nuances and little scenes and the striking blue eyes and the beard. Those stuff I'll remember from his performance and everything. I thought that Vanessa Kirby was probably the best Sue Storm as far as like acting and their range and just being a mother. I thought that type of like part of Sue really stood out in this movie. And I think Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm is probably the best Johnny Storm. Like I said, found the balance of the previous versions from Chris Evans and Michael B. Jordan. So where do you stand on the Fantastic Four and final thoughts on the movie overall?
So it's tough because for 14, 15-year-old John, Jessica Alba as Sue Storm has a special place in my heart. However,
also in another part.
But from to your point, like if we're looking at this strictly from the acting and the plot and what they had to work with and that kind of thing, yes, Vanessa Kirby I would put over Jessica Alba. I agree with you about Human Torch and The Thing. I will give a slight like edge to Ioan Gruffudd and his interpretation of Reed, simply because like his Reed really did come across as like the absent-minded scientist, and I could see Ioan Gruffudd's Reed turning into Pedro Pascal's Reed, if that makes sense. Because Pedro Pascal's is the older, like it is the 4 years now of him being Mr. Fantastic, but like Ioan Gruffudd, like it really. Like to the point where he's trying to, when he in the first movie, when he's trying to help each person learn about their powers and that kind of thing, and he's just completely oblivious to everything that Sue is going through and how their relationship ended and all that kind of stuff. Those character developments, and I'm always a dialogue guy. Like I think I've said, like I usually when I rewatch movies, I fast forward through most action sequences, but I'm more of a dialogue, like characters just interacting kind of guy. So like those interactions where they're just basically arguing about why their relationship failed, like that's great stuff to me, because I'm like, yeah, Reed's an idiot. He is a really smart idiot who does not notice anything going on around him, and that's why in the comics, like Sue just straight up leaves the building. Like she, in essence, abandons the family multiple times to go hang out with Namor because Namor pays attention to her. Like that's literally how plot lines sometimes work in Fantastic Four. And then Reed shows up, or Namor's like, okay, like you're not leaving this man. Like I want you to marry me, but you're not leaving this man. What are you here for? And she'll eventually comes back. Like it's never a situation where she's full-blown cheating on her husband. It's more like the emotional cheating of like, he just doesn't talk to me. Like he just doesn't pay attention to me. And I felt as though that dynamic, the first two Fantastic Four movies covered a bit better. What I will say though is that's why that's my favorite scene here, where when he's talking to her and she goes, yeah, sometimes it's tough just living with you. And he's like, I don't mean to be that way. She's like, I'm not even sure what you mean to be. She's like who gives a fuck what your intent is? I care about the results of your actions, sir. Like who cares what intent is? So that I think like that, but I wanted more of that. But final thoughts, I think it did very well for what it needed to do. I think that there are definitely things that they establish that they can build upon. I am very interested and very intrigued to see what happens when you take these characters who for 4 years were the only heroes and basically transport them into a brave new world. Like, right, not to use the title from Captain America, but like that's going to be like the fish out of water sequence for them to be like, oh, so it's not the 1960s, but your shit still sucks compared to ours. Oh, okay, cool. like that, and then like, oh, so like you're trying to tell me you're like he gets to an argument with like say Bruce Banner or Shuri or even not Tony, but like those the smart people of the current smart people who are left in Marvel, and he's like, but did you guys build hover cars? No. So maybe we should listen to me. Like that I'm looking forward to that kind of stuff. But I think they did an overall good job on the movie. There are always going to be room for improvement, so you got to take everything for what it is.
Yeah, I thought like I said, I didn't like the beginning part of it. I thought like the early going, like the first hour of the movie, it can drag a bit. So that's why I think it keeps it away from the top spot as far as like between this and Superman. I would say Superman is the better movie. It's better comic book movie, the better kind of like summer blockbuster as well. And we're seeing that as far as like the money as well, because that's another topic that we have to bring up is the steep decline from week 1 for Fantastic Four, a 67% drop for Fantastic Four in week 2, and then week 3 was another 60%, and everybody is saying that this is pretty much a blockbuster bust. In a similar fashion to what Thunderbolts was, where these are two movies that were very well received and kind of like got a lot of critical acclaim. But as far as the box office, it kind of seems like the fan base, especially the MCU fan base, has lost a little faith in in Marvel Studios.
Yeah, and there's a lot of reasons as to why that has happened, but it is not. Unfortunately, it's affecting we could say 2.5 well-made movies that have come out this year. But it does suck because like Thunderbolts was so good from the topics that they were tackling, how they were tackling it. There is like a couple big plot holes in Thunderbolts, but like it's okay. But like here again, tackling interesting topics of family dynamics and parents and the lengths parents will go to protect their children, and it's really that's unfortunate because like I said, Fantastic Four is my favorite group in Marvel. Even with the Avengers being what they are, because Avengers the membership can change. Fantastic Four, the membership has changed, but it's always that core four. So yeah, this is it is unfortunate. I hope that Marvel can figure out better what their strategy needs to be going forward. And I know that for the purposes of, I think it's X-Men, they are looking to cast like relative unknowns, which makes sense for a number of reasons, because I think all of us, well, a large portion of us will go see an X-Men movie, even if it's not anchored by a big name star. Like as long as you get a big person for like, say, Charles Xavier and for Magneto, I think the general audience will be willing to grow with actors who are much less well known for the other roles. And you can make the argument that Jennifer Lawrence was a growing star at the time of X-Men First Class. She was not Jennifer Lawrence. You could argue that the X-Men movies helped make her Jennifer Lawrence. So yeah, that's also something that they have the ability to do. And because they're much larger team ensembles, you can afford to do that. Like you can start off with lesser named people and build them up. But it worked. That is a strategy that in essence worked for Marvel in the past. Like Robert Downey Jr. was kind of a movie outcast. He wasn't a big box office guy at the time of Iron Man. They took a chance on Iron Man. If you look at Chris Hemsworth's roles before Thor, it's pretty much non-existent. There's really no movies except for the opening sequence of Star Trek and like Australian TV shows and Australian soap operas. If you look at Chris Evans was kind of well known, but he wasn't that well known. And on top of that, he was known for comedic roles, maybe like a romance lead here and there. He wasn't known for action hero kind of thing, and those are your core three. That's your Marvel Trinity. So like,
and you even go back to like your Hugh Jackman and your Tobey Maguire. Those guys weren't like really well-known actors. They really get their kind of breakout in those films where Hugh is playing Wolverine and he would go on to play it for the next 20 some odd years, and Tobey Maguire Tobey Maguire is like the most well-known kind of Spider-Man actor of all time, and to a lesser extent, you see the same thing with Tom Holland, who is known for kind of like theater style roles and stuff like that, and now he's known as Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I think that it's there's a lot of different reasons why Marvel is where it is now, but I think one of the big reasons is that Kevin Feige it comes across as though, I don't know if he necessarily did or didn't, but it comes across as though he took a lot of the criticism of superhero movies as not being art to heart. And so he was like, all right, we're going to get Oscar nominated people and Oscar nominated directors and all this kind of stuff and try to make like these much bigger movies. And the problem with that is, one, your budget's balloon because you have to pay these people. And on top of that, a lot of times, especially with the directors, they're going to chafe under the idea of you may not get final cut. You may not be able to sit in on every single production meeting because this is part of a larger story. And that's why we've seen some directors come out afterwards and be like, I didn't get a chance to do that much, like with such and such, or the things I wanted to do, or it's not really my vision. It's like, well, yeah, but you were hired in more for your name, really, than you were for your ability. And if that was the case, that they were hired for their ability, Kevin Feige really didn't let them off the leash because he was like, well, hey, buddy, this is a $200+ million budget. I need to get back at least X. And so how do we do that? We have a tried and true formula. And over time, just different things that have been working against them have brought them to where they are now, where two very good movies in the form of Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four aren't getting the box office response that a lot of people think they should have. And it is interesting because Superman is not on pace to, like, it's profitable and it will continue to be
the highest grossing Superman movie of all time.
And it will make it's definitely made back its budget plus the money needed for marketing and all that kind of thing. But one of the arguments against it was like, oh, it needs to come out of the gate and get like $1 billion or very close to it. And then on top of that, at the time, like before these movies came out, a lot of people were like, oh, it's only going to have like 2 weeks before Fantastic Four comes, and Fantastic Four is going to destroy this thing at the box office. And now we're seeing Fantastic Four not having great legs, and the people who are interested in Superman, it's carrying it further than and anticipated. But
yeah,
there is that it's a brand new interpretation, so people aren't as invested. So like there's work to be done for the DCU, and there's definitely work to be done for the MCU.
Definitely, they're in that state of kind of a rebuild with the MCU and starting a whole new era, especially after Doomsday and Secret War. But final thoughts in the chat. Let us know who was your MVP for the movie, who was your LVP for the movie, whether you gave the movie a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, and out of 10, what did you give Fantastic Four: First Steps? For myself and the Stat King, for Marvel Studios, the Fantastic Four: First Steps, in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up from the both of us. I am going to go with an 8 out of 10. I was at like 8.5, 9 for Superman. This is a step down, but not a wide step down. I think that it's more of in the 7.5, 8 out of 10 range. I would go 8 out of 10 because I like the family elements. Being a parent, I kind of understood the core values and the story that they were telling in regards to protecting Franklin, and I like that. I thought that this was kind of the best kind of like team up family, showing that side of the Fantastic Four that we've seen, and overall the best Fantastic Four movie I think I've ever seen in comparison to 2005 to 2007 and to 2015. Like I said, I have a love for the 2005 because it's one of those early comic book movies, but I thought as far as the acting and the storytelling and the writing and the production, this one was superior to that one. What did you think?
I think I would. So I'm trying to remember what I gave Superman. I think I also went like 8.5, 9-ish. I think I would give this a 7.5, only because like this, I felt like it needed to be longer. It needed more time to have different things breathe and have more scenes of showing that family dynamic. I, like other people said in the chat, I would have liked a bit more of like that team up aspect, and also to see Reed's stretching abilities. Like that is like, especially like if the CGI in 05 and 07 can do it, the CGI 20 years later should be able to do it. So like that, if that was like the argument, I can't really accept that. So it's just like, okay, well, that means you just need to write more ways or write more reasons for him to do XYZ with the powers. I think they did a really good job of showing the family dynamic and that aspect. I especially like the one scene where Johnny and Ben are arguing about who's going to have to go tell Sue and Reed something, and then Sue just appears out of nowhere. She's like, "Tell me what? Like, what do you guys got to tell me?" And it's like, you got to stop doing that. Like, that was, I think, really good aspects of it. It definitely is like not like as on the same level as Superman when it comes to just a fun time in the theaters. Yeah. And I think my MVP. Ooh, I think I probably would give that to Sue because like she really,
I was gonna say the Storm siblings. I thought that Johnny did a lot more than I thought he would, and that he's done in previous movies. And like you said, Sue, from the acting of Vanessa Kirby mixed with showing her ability as in diplomacy as well as her superpowers, I think they found the right balance with those two more than in comparison Reed and Ben.
Yeah. This is LVP. That's tough.
LVP. It's only because of the writing and the script and the story. It's Ben.
Yeah, it's Ben. Like it's
it's not even a question. Like I understand. You got Power Driver Fincher. He gives it to Sue, and he kind of explained what his problem with Sue is. That very very character era that's just done for the plot. I am willing to get over more than just doing nothing with the thing. This is
See, here's the reason why like I had like that momentary pause. Because like a part of me would be willing to give it to Galactus because it's like, bro, you just lost. Like you got
also true. Yeah, that's why I do understand Greg saying that. Yeah,
like there's no real way about it. Like you were talking a really big game. It's like it would be like a heel. It would be like Brock Lesnar in 2016, 2017 level of heel, but then like right before the bell rings, it turns into the Miz rolling out of the ring and like leaving the arena. Like that's kind of what happened. Like nobody really got that fucked up from what you were doing, sir. Like I gotta hold that against you. But I will say that like the idea of what Galactus can be for the future, that's something where like that could definitely be an MVP for you. You could definitely be an MVP.
Yeah. I think this was just an introduction for Galactus, and the way they did it was to kind of keep him away for now. He'll be back a lot sooner than 1,000 years.
By the way, you know what's wild? That Fantastic Four movie came out the same year as Batman Begins. They're both 05.
Wow. Look at that. But still, 2008 is the greatest year when it comes to superhero movies between Dark Knight and the first Iron Man.
Yeah,
that's like the most iconic year when it comes to superhero movie. But yeah, I will go with that. That's my MVP and my LVP. And as far as like moment, I'll give it to the Sue and Reed conversation about giving the baby up to Galactus.
Yeah, like that is from a character perspective. That from the visual for me, it's the birth sequence. That. Yeah. Because that was great. He's like, he shoots her, he knocks her out. He's like, I got her. We're gonna hit light speed. They hit light speed, and all of a sudden she's like, I'm back. It was like you can't get rid of me that easily.
It's like you thought you had me. I'm right here. But yes, we've made it to the end of our Fantastic Four first steps review. We had a lot of mismatching and rain checking when it comes to this, so I'm glad we were finally able to get on the same page on the same time and do the review talking about this movie. I don't know what movie we're gonna do next. I'm gonna plan on reviewing Peacemaker. That's gonna debut I think a week from this week.
Very soon,
a week from Thursday. I think it's the 21st is when it kicks off. So I'm looking forward to that. But what are you looking forward to next in the superhero genre, whether it's DCEU or MCU?
I mean, from at least projects that I know are coming out and all that kind of thing, I would have. It's weird. I think I would probably say Supergirl more than Spider-Man. Mainly because you can't tell me that you're going to make a grounded street level Spider-Man and then say that you're also going to put Savage Hulk in it. Like, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that was like weird decision. Like it was already enough that you're putting in Punisher, but why do you need so much for a grounded Spider-Man movie?
He's just like you again, I can do this thing. Mr. Punisher, sir? Like, Mr. Punisher, could you, like, I know you like shooting people, but Mr. Punisher, if you could use like non-lethal round, I could make them for you, Mr. Punisher. Like it would be great. Like it would just work out really well. And then you just see him go bang and knock him out. And then it's like, all right, cool. Right? Like what do we do? I mean, the fight, because you know they're gonna do a Spider-Man versus Punisher fight. If this guy is able to take out superhuman sense, radar sense, Daredevil, I want to see the spider sense go up against this. Like that's gonna be interesting. And then of course, you know, the problem with telling us that you're gonna have Savage Hulk, and this is a larger symptom of what I was talking about with Marvel, of the problem of the trajectory of what they're trying to do to try to book themselves out of the corner that they're in, is that we can already tell, okay, so it's going to be Savage Hulk because a villain has mind-controlled Hulk. They're going to have to free the Hulk. And then once they free the Hulk, he's going to punch the villain. Like it's sort of, I don't want to say obvious, but at the same time, that's what that should lead towards. So surprise us, like come up with a way to surprise us, as opposed to being like, hey, do you guys know how we're going to get Thaddeus Ross in this movie? Did you also know we're going to turn him into the Red Hulk?
Why they gave that away? I still do not understand.
What's this movie? I don't know. Did you give away the entire plot before the movie came out?
So I'll never understand why they did that. That still boggles my mind. So
because they thought that telling people that they were going to get Red Hulk would put butts in seats. Like it was the idea of, oh, I heard Mick Foley won their title over there. I'm sure that's going to put butts in seats, except the inverse. It didn't work. It worked for WWE. It didn't work here.
Oh, man. It's like when WWE does scenes like last night where Seth Rollins does a backstage segment saying, oh, I'm going on the jet. I'm leaving. But we haven't seen him in the building. So you know he's coming out for the main event and interfering. Like, yeah, it's so weird.
Leading a little too heavy into the Seth Rollins says one thing, but does something else.
I wonder where I haven't heard that before.
More at 10 p.m.
But yes, we've made it to the end of this Fantastic Four First Steps, a review. StatKing, let everybody know where they can follow you on social media and when they shall see you again.
Well, actually, you guys are going to see me again very soon, because later this evening, I think around, I mean, it will be a little late, but 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, Chase and myself will be back for another episode of True Offseason, where we continue to break down all of the things that are happening in the NFL for the offseason, and we've got preseason to talk about. We will also be completing our region-by-region preview for the 2025 upcoming season, when we take on the AFC North and the NFC North and break down everything, all the fun changes that those 8 teams have had, and the anticipation for their seasons this season of the NFL. But this is going to be a fun one because the AFC North is one of the most competitive ever, and the NFC North, I mean, the Bears should be better, and we'll be interested to see how the Lions are going to be bouncing back from losing not one but both of their primary coordinators. So it's going to be a fun conversation between myself and Chase, so you can catch that here on the True Hill Heat Sports Entertainment channel coming up soon. But yeah, there's the fun little thing. Thanks from Romeo, looking for people. You know, who's going to find a way to put Aaron Rodgers somehow, some way in there. He's still a little upset about what happened with the Jets. But yeah, it's going to be a fun conversation, and I don't know if we're going to necessarily get into Hard Knocks. I think we may let a couple more episodes of Hard Knocks happen before we tackle Hard Knocks, but it'll be a fun time. So tune in.
I look forward to it. That's how I get up to date with the NFL, is StatKing and Chase talking all about it. Who's your favorite for the Super Bowl as of right now?
Oh, well, subjectively, I would say the Broncos, and I don't care about the NFC. But
here you go.
but objectively, I can definitely see the Eagles repeating in the Super Bowl. The Rams could be sneaky depending on Matt Stafford's back. This man, okay, you will appreciate this because you have children, but Matt Stafford has aggravated discs in his back to the point that they're giving him epidurals.
Wow.
So I'm like, all right, well, maybe he's not going to be starting in 3 weeks. We'll see what happens there. And then on the AFC side, I mean, Chiefs, or I mean, I would love for it to be the Bills just to see Josh Allen in a Super Bowl. But I think it'll come down to either the Chiefs or the Bills.
Which kind of seems to be a theme with the NFL over like the last 4 to 5 years. But we'll see. We'll see when you break everything down how they stack up, who's going to be your Super Bowl predictions and all of that. So keep up to date. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell to stay notified so you always know when they go live for true off season. I will be back talking BMF on the channel with Miss Chrissy Love. We got episode 9 to review, as well as the season finale, which is coming up this week. So stay tuned for that. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3 and also on True Hill Heat Wrestling YouTube channel. I'll be previewing Triple A's Triple Mania, which is this coming Saturday. I think that's a solo preview. That's going to be tomorrow live at 2:05 p.m. Eastern time. So join us for that over on the second channel. And like I said before, hit the subscribe button and comment down below. You let us know your thoughts on Fantastic Four First Steps. Thank you to everyone in the live chat who joined us and gave their thoughts on this movie, and always appreciate y'all for that. But for StatKing, it is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. This has been our Fantastic Four First Steps 2025 review. We are signing off until next time.